Hey there, how you doing today? Welcome to a new weekly series I plan on making called WoW Weekly Recap. In this and other videos in the series, I'll talk about a few things. First, I'll begin talking about tech for Mythic Plus dungeons I've come across over the week, with their accompanying sources if I can. Then, for those who wish to see it, I'd talk about my week in WoW, what I've been up to and what keys I've run, updates on raid progress if that's relevant, and other details that I find interesting over my week in WoW. Honestly, it's more of a video diary for myself about my WoW gameplay. Since this is the first episode, there are quite a few techs that I'd like to discuss. Unfortunately, I've only started to record again this week, so I don't have too much footage, so some of these techs might have to wait till following weeks. First is the Rock Strat on Halls of Valor. I'm sure we've all seen the post strat, where you stand on this little lamppost in the Fenryr area during the wolves. You would have all your ranged DPS and healers stand on top of it, and none of the wolves should ever jump to anyone during the pull. However, I and some others who have tried this may have had difficulties getting it to work, as it requires you to stand at the very top of the lamp with pixel perfect accuracy. Because of that, I've opted not to use it in most of my runs. However, there is another point you can stand on that's much easier to get on and has a lower risk of failure. The only problem is this rock is right behind Fenryr, so if you want to use it, you'll have to beat Fenryr first. And if you choose to fight the wolves after Fenryr, you might find your space during the boss fight lacking, which may be troublesome. So when using this strategy, be sure to plan your route ahead of time. After you defeat Fenryr, you jump over the bushes to the left of the cave's entrance, and slowly make your way up on top of this rock. And that's it, the wolves will never jump on players. I'm fairly sure the wolves never jump on melee DPS, I've never seen it happen. So if you want to keep DPSing melee DPS, you should not stand on the rock. On the rock, you're too far from the wolves and you can't melee them, you can't use your abilities, so don't. That's it for the rock strat. I'm sure a streamer came up with it, but a guildie showed it to me, so I'm not too sure where it originated from. So the MDI group stages just finished this week, and 6 teams have qualified to go through to the global finals. I won't talk too much about MDI, but there was something that happened just this Sunday that was really strange. With Sanguine Week coming up, it's even more important that you know about this. I'll play the clip real quick.
Pulled by Thunderstruck. Sanguine healing though lands on the bosses. Tira and Maruk are full health. They are full HP.
So
Tira is 100%. So okay, yeah, Tira is 100%. Maruk is 83%. Hang on, is this fine?
How does this work?
What happens if you kill Maruk now? Yeah. Does that end the boss fight still? What happens right now? The Gale Arrow. Oh, the Gale Arrow is just coming out now. This is really good timing if you think about it, right? The Gale Arrow right before.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If Tira does start gaining the enrage. Okay, so now Tira is alive and Maruk is dead. Quick shots are starting to come out, and she is gaining stacks of the Ancestral Bond. But if we kill her before the next Gale Arrow, we're fine, right? That's got to be the idea here. Yeah, every shot is now going to start to be super hurty. You can see those shots, but
wait, did the boss reset?
It looks like the boss may have reset for Thunderstruck.
No way, man. The boss reset?
What? Was it too far out of the arena? Oh no.
No. It wasn't too. I don't think it was too far out of the arena. I think it was an issue of Maruk. Maybe it was too far out of the arena. What just happened? What did we just watch?
That's right, the boss's health reset. Apparently, if the boss's healths are healed through Sanguine, their healths don't even out. Then upon defeating one of the bosses, some kind of RP must occur, and this RP must result in some kind of trigger on the back end, because it just straight up resets the boss. So just be careful in the coming week, don't pull any trash to the third boss in the Nokhud offensive. These 2 next points don't really count as tech, but they're just kind of things you have to look out for when you're doing dungeons. The second subject is in the last boss of Temple of the Jade Serpent. I've seen people make this mistake countless of times. When the boss casts his ultimate, Bounds of Reality, the boss will begin to cast 2 abilities in quick succession. The first part of the cast lasts 3 seconds, and your character's position and facing direction at the end of this 3-second cast is where the boss will determine your spawn for the next part of the cast. Most players I've seen, and these are not the high-end players, reposition themselves too late and react too late. This means their ad spawns somewhere where they don't want it to spawn. This is really a reminder that you should look ahead of time and position yourself actively. As it's really quick, 3 seconds will go like it's nothing, and you better make sure you're in the right position before the 3 seconds are up. Of course, if you have one of these purple circles, touch of nothingness on you, you'll want to try and position yourself away from the party, but still try to face your ad into the group. This way, the ad groups up with the rest of the ads, and you can cleave them down quickly. Because I don't have that much footage, there's only one more thing to talk about, and that's the second last boss in Halls of Valor, God King Skovald. To those of you unfortunate enough, this may have happened to you already. But to those who are lucky enough not to have seen it, this one is about Skovald's big ability Ragnarok. During Ragnarok, he shoots out multiple fell bolts that chase players. During the fight, the Aegis of Agrimar would normally block it, dropped by normally the tank. But when you defeat Skovald, the Aegis immediately disappears. This means the shield drops. However, the fell bolts do not disappear. So if you're unlucky enough to kill the boss as he's casting Ragnarok, those bolts will each hit your party for unmitigated damage. This is really painful, and at higher keys it will insta-kill your entire party except for the tank. In the footage I have, we did it on a 16 Tyrannical, and it didn't kill us, but it was close to killing a few of us. 20 seconds off your Mythic Plus timer is no joke. To avoid it, just hold your DPS while he's casting Ragnarok, and only finish the boss off after he's casted Ragnarok. Alternatively, I suppose you could kill him between the Ragnarok bolt casts, but that's pretty hard to pull off, and I'm not sure if it's even possible, so try your luck. And that's it for the tech and dungeon trivia this week. And now for the section about me. Who am I? Well, I'm just a small-time, not too hardcore player in a guild called Perth Guild. Despite the name, no, I am not from Perth. This guild is just the one I landed on when I was looking through the guilds in my realm to join. This guild is an AOTC guild, dabbling in the first few mythic bosses. We're 3 out of 8 mythic now. There are a few members of the guild that do a reasonable amount of mythic plus, including myself. We have killed Heroic Raz and gotten AOTC quite a few weeks ago, though we haven't re-cleared it very many times. It's pretty far into the season as well for mythic plus. Most of my characters are geared up, and most of my guildies are as well, and I've also gone most, if not all of the portals already. What do I play? I play a Priest, Demon Hunter, and Mage in that order of mainness. The Priest is a favorite of mine. When I started WoW in 9.1, the Sanctum of Domination tier, I had picked Priest because the guild wanted a Priest. They wanted a Shadow Priest. I went into playing Priest wanting to play Discipline because it looked awesome, heal by preventing damage, and also doing damage. But just for the longest time it was no good in Mythic Plus. So I mained a Shadow Priest for 2 or 3 tiers. That is until now. This season, after the 10.0.5 buffs, Disc Priest is just so powerful in its kit to heal, and I'm very confident in healing with it all the way up to 20 keys. And I'm also able to pump out good damage, something I found that Holy Priest just couldn't do. I basically only tank on my Demon Hunter, and as for the Mage, earlier in the season I had decided to play Arcane, as it was really strong, specifically in Raid, and I mostly raid on the Mage, as we do need a Mage in the guild, but I recently swapped to Fire Mage. 2 weeks ago, I just decided, you know what, I like Fire Mage more. I changed all my crafted gear stats to Haste Mastery, and didn't look back. Over the past week, I've continued to clear keys on all 3 of my characters, completing a fair amount of 20s, and I really feel like I'm getting the hang of Disc Priest. I think Disc, compared to Holy, has a relatively high skill ceiling, and I think I'm really getting there. Not to mention it's powerful. It's really no surprise that Disc is maybe 3rd or 4th best healing this tier. They bring good damage and good healing, they're just missing a bit of utility. Psychic Scream is okay, 5 target cap is always not great. Mind Control, generally not very useful. And Mind Soothe, although it does have its uses, is quite limiting. The big topic I want to talk about this week is Mage. I had recently made quite a big change. The swap from Shimmer to Ice Floes. I've always been more used to Shimmer. Used it since I played Mage in Season 4 of Shadowlands. It just feels natural and nice to use. Blink while casting an ability. Fire Mage already cast Fire Blast while casting other abilities. But why is it bad? Well, Shimmer is a blink. It takes you like 15 yards away. The problem is, one of Mage's core abilities is Rune of Power. So if you happen to be targeted by a mechanic and you need to move out, you Shimmer. Except you just left behind your Rune of Power. That's a 40% damage decrease you're just throwing away. For small movement abilities, you'd normally want to sidestep, and this would require you to cancel your cast. So blink away from Rune of Power or cancel your cast. Both are imperfect solutions. Guess what? Ice Floes answers that problem with a very simple phrase. Just move while casting. It's really that easy. Just press Ice Floes and you can cast while moving. It's really so easy. On paper at least, it does seem easy. But in practice, you may fumble your cast and abilities for a few weeks just to get used to it. It was just so surprising to see Shimmer so ingrained in my muscle memory. But it undoubtedly does result in an increase in DPS. If you have any opinions on Ice Floes versus Shimmer, I'd love to hear it. I don't want this video to be too long, so here's where I'll stop. I do appreciate it if you stayed all the way to the end, and I hope you have success with your keys as much as I have this week. Fortified Sanguine Volcanic is going to be a reasonably easy week to get your keys and portals done. Thanks for watching, be sure to leave a like or subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in my next weekly WoW diary.